Alright everybody, in this topic I'm going to show you how we can accept user input in Python. We use the input function. It's a function that prompts the user to enter in data, and it returns the entered data as a string. Here's an example. To accept user input, we will call the input function. When I run this program, we need to enter in data to our console window, like so, then hit enter. However, we need a prompt. We need to tell the user what we want them to type in. So let's ask a question. Our prompt will be within quotes. Let's say, "What is your name?" Let's try this again. What is your name? I can type in something. Why don't you go ahead and type in your full name? Then hit enter. Now with this input, we're not quite doing anything with it. The input function is going to return some data as a string. We can assign it to a variable if we would like. Let's create a variable of name. Name equals our user input. Then once we have our name, let's print a message. I'll use an F string. We will print hello, add a placeholder, then insert our name variable within that placeholder. Let's try this. What is your name? Type in your name, hit enter. Hello, whatever your name is. Let's try a different name. I will pick SpongeBob. Many people are familiar with SpongeBob. Hello, SpongeBob. This time, we will ask a user how old they are. Let's assign a variable of age equals accept some user input. We need a prompt within quotes. How old are you? Once we have our age variable, let's print, I'll use an F string, you are, add a placeholder, our variable age, years old. What is your name? Type in your name. How old are you? Let's say that I'm 25. Hello, whatever your name is, you are, whatever your age is, years old. Alright, so let's say that it's our birthday. Before we print our age variable, let's say, happy birthday. Since I'm not inserting any variables within this print statement, this doesn't need to be an F string. You'll want to use an F string if you want to insert variables. Before we display the user's age, let's take the user's age and increase it by 1. We could say age equals age plus 1. But there's one problem with this. Type in a name. How old are you? Type in an age. And we have a problem. We have a type error. Can only concatenate strings, not integers, to strings. When we accept user input, we store that input as a string. Before we increment our age by 1, we'll need to convert it to an integer. We can't normally use strings within arithmetic expressions, but we can do that with integers and floats though. After we accept some user input for our age variable, we could take our age variable and typecast it as an integer, which we talked about in the previous lesson. So let's say age equals our age after we typecast it, then increment it by 1. So type in your name, type in an age, and we get this message. Hello, your name, happy birthday, you are, whatever your age is, years old. So strings we can't normally use with arithmetic expressions. We would have to typecast it to an integer or a float. However, we could condense some of these steps. We're taking up an extra line to typecast our age as an integer. What we could do instead is that when we accept our user input, we can enclose the input function within a typecast to int, and that would work the same. Type in your name, type in an age, and this works the same. And it takes less lines of code, and is more readable, I would say. When we accept user input, it returns that input as a string data type. Then we just have to typecast it to another data type if we need to, and in this case for age, we do. Now we'll go over a couple exercises, because it's important to practice what you've learned. In this first exercise, we're going to calculate the area of a rectangle. We need to prompt the user to enter in a length and the width of a rectangle. So we will create a variable of length. We will accept some user input using the input function. What is our prompt? Let's say enter the length. Let's do this with width. I'll just copy and paste what we have. Width equals enter the width. So we have the length and the width. To get the area of a rectangle, we have to multiply the length by the width. So let's say area equals our length variable. Now to use multiplication, you use an asterisk. We'll discuss different arithmetic operators in the next lesson. So we have length times width. That is the area. I'm going to print our area because I need to test something. Enter the length, let's say 5 inches, 5 centimeters, doesn't matter. Enter the width, 6. We get a type error, can't multiply sequence by non-integer of type string. When we accept user input, it returns a value of the string data type. We can't use those strings in arithmetic expressions. We're multiplying the length times the width. We would need to typecast them as an integer or a float. Since we're working with basic geometry, such as calculating the area, let's do float. So let's typecast our user input as a float for both length and width. Okay, let's try this again. Let's say 5 times 6. The area that's returned to us is 30.0. This result contains a decimal. It's a floating point number, a float. So when we print the area, I'll use an F string this time. The area is, I'll add a placeholder, display our area variable. Let's add a unit of measurement afterwards. I'll pick centimeters. Now since we're working with areas, if we would like to technically be accurate, so we could say to the power of 2, or we could add a superscript. So if you would like superscript 2 and you're on Windows, make sure numlock is on, hold Alt, then type on the numpad 0178. So we have a superscript of 2. Again, it's not really necessary for this lesson. I just think it'd be cool to include it, because then it's technically accurate. Alright, let's say that the length is 6.1, and the width is 7.2. The area is 43.92 centimeters squared, because we're working with areas. Let's cover a second exercise. This time, we will create a shopping cart program. Exercise 2. We're going to create a shopping cart program. We need 3 variables, an item, a price, and a quantity of those items. We will create a variable of item. We will accept some user input. What item would you like to buy? What are we trying to purchase? We'll keep the data type of the user input as a string. Then we need a price. What is the price of each item we're buying? Use the input function. What is the price? A price should be a floating point number. For example, we might have dollars and cents. We need a decimal. So let's typecast our input as a float. Then a quantity. We will accept some user input. Our prompt will be, how many would you like? Quantities, they should be whole numbers. Let's typecast our input as an integer. Then we will have a total. What's the total that we have to pay? So let's take the price of each item, use an asterisk for multiply, our quantity. Then let's do a test run. Let's print our total. What item would you like to buy? Let's say a pizza. What is the price? $10.99. How many would you like? I would like 5 pizzas. And our total is 54.95. Let's say that before we display the total, let's print the following. I'll use an F string. You have bought, insert a placeholder, display our quantity, X, item, or items, I'll add /s. Then we will print, I'll use an F string again, your total is, display our total. What item would you like to buy? I would like to buy a pizza. What is the price? $10.99. How many would you like? I would like 9 pizzas. They're all for me. I'm gonna eat all of them. You have bought 9x pizzas. Your total is 98.91. Let's add a unit of currency before this. Pick unit of currency before displaying the total. I'll pick American dollars. I would like to buy pizza. What is the price? $9.99. How many would you like? I would like a dozen pizzas. 12. You have bought 12x pizzas. Your total is $119.88. Alright everybody, that is how to accept user input in Python, and we've covered a few exercises.